Now, the question comes up of Agile and Waterfall a lot. Unfortunately, internationalization won't typically follow the same workflow as your Agile development might happen on new features. And that's why typically we have a lot of customers that use Agile, but we'll end up using some sort of hybrid where we'll use Waterfall but while the customer uses Agile, but we'll use Agile kinds of practices where there's, really quick milestones, really quick results and the like. But the task pattern is still traditional Waterfall. It seems to work better for us that way and involves less iterations of testing cycles that might not make sense given the Agile new feature development cycles of our customers. One thing we do talk to our customers about is avoiding the golden moment, and this is something for you to consider internally. Very often we've had customers with complex build that ask us to do things like externalize strings without being able to run a build ourselves. That's bad because now we're depending upon a golden moment, that is that they run the build maybe weeks later after we've done some activity like string externalization, and only then will they find issues because we simply could not test for them. So that's the term we use. I'm not sure if that's a common term, but you're not going to rely on that. As an ongoing process, really there's a lot of having to repeat yourself. I would suggest that every company develops an internationalization coding standards document and makes your developers see them. We advocate, the people use Globalizer. That's what it's there for. It can enforce programming that it's internationalized. Have good internationalized testing within your plan so that stuff gets stopped. And after people have to fix stuff enough times, it's a repetitive, kind of effort that gets recognized. And avoid the Japanese version again of a product. Don't go there. Make sure that new features have internationalized development criteria. And have a good relationship with your localization partner because you're going to live with them a long time, and they should know your product and the like. We do suggest that people invest a little bit in training. That can be in the form of these webinars, formal training in classrooms, but it can also really be, a lot of, getting together in front of a whiteboard and just talking about this stuff regularly. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Be prepared to repeat yourself a lot. I mean, people wish that they didn't have to, but you're just going to have to. You're going against the grain from a lot of the ways things were developed in the past. So you've got to just say, chalk it up. You're just going to have to repeat yourself all the time. And keep score on worldwide sales. I mean, really, if you are an internationalization champion or a globalization champion, I tell people you ought to have a little sign in your room that says, how much of your sales is coming from outside of your native market, and be willing to show how you're contributing to that. Have that on the wall so that every time people go in your office, they go, oh, yeah. So in any case, I kind of rushed through that and didn't leave enough time for Q&A. But I want to leave that open now. Hopefully people can stay a few extra minutes. It's 5 minutes to our ending time. But I think Eric, forgive me, but Chris, we can run a few minutes over, can't we?
Oh yeah. I mean, attendees, feel free to stay as long as you want.
Okay.
Question. Let's get started with the first question. I'm interested in understanding the major hurdles, the things that often get missed when creating a globalization strategy.
Okay. I would say the first major hurdles that get missed, and they have really bad effects, are, I'll try to list them by heart, defining locale behavior inadequately. A lot of times developer is left to themselves to figure this out, but they've never actually done that before, and they have no idea. There's just generally when we send an architect into a company to talk about locale, the end of the conversation is, wow, I never thought of that. And that has cataclysmic effects because if you don't think of those things up front, you're not going to develop into them, and you release a product that's really inferior than what marketing and sales ask for, and that's no fun. The next thing is strings being under-identified or over-identified. Then I would say missing encoding issues as they get passed around, that can be kind of that can be a real issue. Or choosing the wrong encoding strategy, that can be bad. It's becoming easier with newer technologies like Java, .NET, and the like. Another gotcha area is, we see this, say, with Ruby on Rails, where there isn't really a good locale framework that's baked into that technology yet. That may be, for all I know, underway or already released by now. But in the past, for instance, a few years ago, working on a PHP application before there was such thing as an internationalization framework for supporting PHP. It just makes the work a little harder, a little extra step, and often people don't plan on that. So I hope I covered that in a few ways.
Okay, then a question from Jenny. I'm interested in more on what to add to our testing requirements in-house. I don't know if that's enough information for you, Adam.
Well, I talked about it a little bit, Jenny. The adding pseudo-localization and applying that to your test scripts, whether they're, in many cases, true regression where it's automated is not going to apply there. You're going to have to do a lot of mouse clicks. But I would say making sure that not only are you pseudo-localizing the interface, but you're putting pseudo-localized data into, say, the database to make sure that it's passing through and rendering correctly from, the database side through the various parts of your application to the display. I'll also mention third-party products need their own special attention. A lot of times people will, let's say, use a third-party product to, let's say, be a reporting engine that, lists, various Excel-like reports, and that product may not be internationalized to the extent that you need, and you're sort of beholden to that product to update and internationalize, which might not come to your schedule. So that's another area to pay attention to.
Okay. Question from Mike. Do you have any strategies for linguistic testing? Maybe Eric can contribute to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple different ways that the majority of our clients handle that. The linguistic testing phase internally as part of the standard translate, edit, proof process. The proof part is actually linguistic testing by your language company of the finished either application or documentation, whatever the case may be. Other options are in-country review, which is an additional step in some cases, even after we've done our full process in QA. Many people run it in country for validation. You can go that option, or you can go as well the entire third-party subject matter expert. So again, that would be in addition to in-country review, someone that is, for example, some of our med device products have people that look at the translation and the actual product UI and its functionality for some of the devices in country that are actually retired MDs. So that would be an example of a subject matter expert. Hope that answers your question.